In 2019, suicide was the second leading cause of death among people between the ages of 10 and 34. Our next guest, mental health advocate Kevin Hines, was in such a deep depression that he finally decided to end the pain. Miraculously, he survived, and his purpose helps him today to thrive. As Kevin shared with me earlier, he still has a mental illness, but he now has the tools and support system to work his way out of the bad times. We pick up the conversation at the lowest point in his life, but that dark cloud had a very nice silver lining. It was at that time that he met the love of his life. Kevin, as you know, bipolar is characterized by a number of things. Extreme darkness, and then comes the light. You met your wife during one of your darkest times. Tell us that story.
She was a guest visiting her cousin who was in the psych ward, and I was there as an individual staying in the psych ward. And I'm standing there, and I'm making the announcements from a PA system. It was one of those old microphones you would see come down in the ring in a boxing match. And I'm making the announcements on the PA system, and this woman taps me on my left shoulder, and I turned around, and I'm telling you, I was done. For me, it was love at first sight. And in the hospital, one day she came in to visit her cousin, and I asked her to, I said, when I get out of here, can I take you to coffee? And she looked at me, and she goes, oh, honey, heck no. I end up calling her, and so I said, no, really, if it goes south, you never have to see me again. One date.
Here's the crazy part. There was a second date, and then the rest is history. You married the love of your life.
Yes,
so just to prove that there can be those great moments of light. But let's go back to how life began for you. From the very beginning, in the womb, it was a struggle.
From the very beginning, after my parents had me and my infant brother, they both had been diagnosed with manic depression, what we today call bipolar disorder, and they ended up succumbing to drugs and alcohol. And that meant leaving two infant boys unattended on a box spring for a mattress over a concrete slab floor. That's where my life began, truly humble beginnings. But unlike my poor brother, I got very lucky, and I got adopted by the Hines family, my new mom and dad, who gave me the world.
When it comes to bipolar disorder, you talked about, it does run in families. Oftentimes it presents itself in adolescence, but we kind of excuse it as they're just kind of moody. They're going through the teen years. Yours may have presented itself a little earlier had it not been for being masked by some medication you were taking.
During my high school years, at 17 and a half, my brain broke. I had a complete mental breakdown on stage in front of 1,200 people, and I was never the same. And at 19 years of age, I believed I had to die. I believed I had no other option. I believed I was useless and worthless and had no value. I was wrong, but I couldn't see it.
Can I help you? Those were the words that I desperately wanted to hear as I stood atop the Golden Gate Bridge walkway, staring and leaning over the 4-foot-nothing rail, peering down to the looming waters below. Right before I catapulted myself over the rail.
On that day, Kevin, you had seen your dad, and he wanted you to spend some time with them, and you said, no, that's okay, but you told him that you loved him. But you had also said to your dad at one point, I don't want to be here anymore, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
That's the type of language that family members and loved ones need to pay attention to.
Yeah, I had kept saying to people at school and to people at the house, I don't like life anymore. And nobody really caught on to what that meant. And that's not their fault, because no one was taught suicide prevention in my family or my school. So how could they know what to look for? But when people say, I don't like life, I don't want to be here anymore, I don't like existence, you've got to really tune into that kind of language, because those are direct signs of suicide.
Yeah, September 25th, 2000. And I was sorry to cut you off earlier, but you went to the Golden Gate Bridge, which we know has been synonymous with suicides, unfortunately. They've taken some steps to try and to stop that. But you went to the bridge, and you wanted to do this, and you didn't want to do this. And you kept saying to yourself, if just one person stops me, it may stop me. And you came across several people, a tourist, a police officer, even a tourist who said, can you take a picture for me? No one stopped you. Now we're at the point where you seek that permanent solution to what could be a temporary problem. And you're taking the leap, and in the middle of that leap, you have regret.
Of the 39 people that have survived, 26 remain alive today, many have died of natural causes, but 19 have come forward like me to say that moment they left the rail, they had an instantaneous regret from their actions, and this 100% recognition they just made the greatest mistake of their lives, but it was too late.
There's a series of miracles that unfolded.
Yes.
All kinds of things happened. Number one, you survived. But one of the other things that happened, there was a sea lion somehow involved.
Yes. In the water, as I flailed to stay afloat, something began circling beneath me. And I, of course, thought immediately that it was a shark. And I was freaking out that there was a sea lion. And the people above looking down believed it to be keeping your body afloat until the Coast Guard boat arrived behind you. It was amazing.
Yeah, someone else was able to see you and contact someone that they knew in the Coast Guard, which got help to you quicker than it normally would have happened. And then at the hospital, the doctor responsible for saving your life was not even supposed to be on duty that day.
That's right. He was supposed to be somewhere else. He stayed for whatever reason. When I came in, he opted to do my surgery, the first and only surgery of its particular kind. It's in a medical journal for being so unique. It was invented for my situation. He went into my left side and replaced my shattered vertebrae with titanium.
Coming full circle, you're in the psych ward. That's where you meet your wife. But you also unfolded much more of the light that we talked about earlier. Number one, you talk about it. It's part of the therapy. How has it helped you to be able to come forward and say, this is who I am, and there's a lot more people like us?
Back when I started speaking publicly about it in 2001, there was a handful of people speaking on their mental health. Maybe I feel like I could count them on less than both hands. And today there are thousands of individuals who consider themselves mental health advocates. You can see them all over Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. They're all there trying to do their part. And back then when I started, I just wanted to help people be here tomorrow and every day after that. And over the last 21 years, I have received hundreds of thousands of messages from people saying, from all social media platforms, from emails, from however they write to you, even letters, that say this story saved or changed my life. Now, I don't own that. I don't ever say that I saved a life. I'm a conduit. I tell a story, I share a message, they relate to that message, they go home and do the work, and they save and change their own lives. And getting to be here is a privilege and a gift, no matter the pain you're in.
You still have mental illness, you just know how to handle it today. What is the best advice that you have for loved ones who want to see the best for those dealing with bipolar disorder and depression?
Okay, I've got some real concrete advice that you can actually take action on. So when you see someone you love who's going through bipolar or even schizophrenia or mental illness or any kind of thing like that, and you don't seem to be reaching them, they don't seem to be, well, maybe they're in denial of what they're going through, right? What you want to do is consider the caring letters. Parents and family and friends and peers sending 3 to 5 letters to one person with the same real message of love and compassion and care and empathy and lack of judgment and the signs, symptoms, and triggers they're worried about. But when it came from 3 to 5 different people, the person concretely had a letter in front of them or letters in front of them that they could reference every time they were in pain. When you show someone you care about them, it has much more of an effect than when you tell them. And what this did for people was it helped them get out of their denial. It helped them recognize that they needed help.
Your motto is be here tomorrow. A lot of power in those 2 letters, be, because it means you exist.
Mm-hmm. Just be here tomorrow, and every day after that, one day at a time. I came up with be here tomorrow because I have regular thoughts of ending my life. I have regular thoughts of suicide. And so I have to just focus on getting to the next day, being in the present today, and then getting to tomorrow as the day progresses. And I can't tell you how many people have now gotten that tattoo and who are taking that motto and sharing it with the world. It's become an international phenomenon. People as far as Japan and Africa and China are now making Be Here Tomorrow shirts. I mean, it's amazing.
And when you're in the darkness, you know what's coming next will be that light. Hold on for the light. Kevin, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me. And I want to just, if you don't mind, leave you with a resource. If you are in crisis, please, I beg of you, Don't take your life. Take a breath and text CNQR to 741-741, the crisis text line. That's our conquer keyword. It means conquer your pain.
Thank you.
And again, if you or a loved one is in need of help, contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline by calling this number as well. It's 800-273-8255, 800-273-8255. Write that down, keep it close by. For more information on Kevin Hines, visit greatdayhouston.com.